For more on the Oilers' Game 5 win, here's Marty Biron, our TSN Hockey analyst. Marty, the Oilers back in the Cup Final for a second straight year. Despite the fact they've had to deal with a lot of injury issues along the way, how have they gotten it done despite all those injuries?
Well, obviously, Zach Hyman and the loss of Zach Hyman was going to be huge, and everybody pointed to Corey Perry to say, hey, he's the one that's going to have to fill in. Top line with McDavid, top power play, and he's the one that got it started. Look, you get a power play opportunity, and you're Corey Perry, and you say, you know what, get me the puck, and he got that chance, and he scored his seventh of the playoffs right there. And look, in the first period, then it's Janmark, then it's Skinner. But the biggest thing is that the Edmonton Oilers had 9 shots on goal in that first period, and only one of them came from McDavid and or Draisaitl. Draisaitl had nothing. And the high danger chances were 8-0 in that 20-minute first period. And it was all the depth guy. It was everybody else but McDavid and Draisaitl that got to the front of the net, that created, the scrums and a little havoc in front of Oettinger and then DeSmith. Like, that's what you wanted to see. You wanted a response. No Connor Brown, no Zach Hyman. Who's going to step up? Well, you got your answers. Everybody did. But it started with Corey Perry on the power play, and the one that has to fill in those shoes from Zach Hyman, Perry got the job done.
I've been jonesing to ask you about this one. What did you make of Pete DeBoer's decision to pull Jake Oettinger 7 minutes into this one? And not only that, Marty, stick with Casey DeSmith to start the second period.
So I'm going to call it an angry pull. That's what it was. It was an angry pull. You're the head coach of an NHL team. Your back is against the wall. You got to have composure. You call a timeout, right? 2-0. Calls a timeout. Got to have the composure to say, guys, let's settle down. And we're giving up 2 shots, and both of them ended up in the back of the net. Instead, he's yelling at the end of the timeout. He's like, get out of here. You go in. And look, Pete DeBoer is tough on his goaltenders. Let's recall what happened with Marc-Andre Fleury years ago, right? Like the Alan Walsh picture, the dagger in the back, and it's DeBoer on it. And look, and DeSmith, like, last time he played was 20 minutes in a period against Colorado, April the 26th. Who would you rather have in that? Like an Oettinger that has been, one of the better goalie in the National Hockey League. Give him a chance to recover. It's 2-0. Give him another one. Like, if he gives up a third one, okay, I understand that. But look, DeSmith gives up one right away. And at 3-2, McDavid breakaway. And at 4-3, there's a bad bounce, the Evander Kane. So I'm not saying that's on DeSmith, but maybe Oettinger keeps it at 3 and gives your team a chance to come back. And I think that was an angry pull. I did not like it at all. And I'm worried about the future of that relationship, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at next year, Oettinger, DeBoer. Like, that is not a situation that's easy to get over and to just forget about it. So I'm a little worried about the next year relationship there.
Okay, let's talk about the Cup Final. What do you think might be the difference maker for the Oilers in this one compared to last year against the Florida Panthers?
I think there's 2 big differences for me when I look at the matchup. One, well, the Oilers have home ice advantage, and they've been fantastic on home ice. They're 6-1. Look, Florida's been great on the road. They're 8-2, so it's going to be 2 teams that are feeling really comfortable when it is in Edmonton. But that last game, like Game 7, if you have to have it at home, last year we saw Florida winning it, in Florida. So I think that having, home ice advantage is huge. And the next thing, Jay, is, as the great Canadian singer Alanis Morissette once said, you live, you learn. And I think that the Oilers, not that they live to, have that defeat and they're going to learn and win the Stanley Cup. I'm still unsure about that. But they definitely are not going to get down 3-0. That is what really cost the Oilers last year, being down 3-0. So you live and learn, and that's not going to happen this year. So you'll get yourself in the series earlier than before Game 4, and you're going to give yourself a better chance to win the Stanley Cup because you cannot afford to go down 3-0.
The Stanley Cup Final will begin next Wednesday in Edmonton. And to borrow another phrase from iconic Canadian singer Alanis Morissette, you ought to know that we will have several previews of that Stanley Cup Final with this guy before that game happens on Wednesday. Thanks, buddy.